This is my official review of the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 movie. In this video, I'm going to be sharing my candid, raw thoughts on the movie. I'm not holding back. I'm putting it all out there. Also, I'm going to be talking about spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, go see the movie, come back to this video. But until then, have a nice day, drive safe, see you later. Also, I've only ever done this on one other video on my channel ever, but if you want 5% off the new FNAF 2 movie wave of U2s, use code FUHNaff at checkout for 5% off. U2 sent me the Toy Bonnie one and the Balloon Boy one, and they look amazing. Balloon Boy's holding batteries because he steals your batteries out of your flashlight when he's in front of you. You get it? And the MatPat figure looks really amazing. MatPat looking better than ever. I know 5% isn't that big of a number, but if you're going to buy them anyway, might as well use the code, might as well get the discount. So use code FNAF, 5% off your U2s. Link in description. Okay, thanks for listening. Let's talk about the movie. Here we go. As you know, I saw this movie actually a couple weeks ago with Scott Cawthon in Orlando, Florida, and I went into this movie wanting it to be better than the first one. That is all I had in mind. I just wanted it to be a little bit better, even 1% better than the original, and I walked out of that theater more than happy with that movie. For the past couple weeks, I've been really trying to think on it and think, did I like it so much because I was with Scott, because I was with Dawko and MatPat and all my friends, and the theater experience was amazing? Is that why I liked it so much? But now that I've seen it 3 times, I saw it last night, I'm seeing it for a 4th tomorrow, I really liked this movie. Like, it's so fun as a fan of this franchise, and that's the thing about this movie. It was absolutely made for the fans, and I know you've heard that so many times, and you look at the critic score and you're thinking, holy shit, 12% is crazy numbers for this movie. And as someone who has seen a decent amount of movies and isn't just like blinded by the nostalgia and by the lore and everything, I really took myself out of it and analyzed it as a movie. I'm genuinely shocked by the 12%. I was guessing maybe like a 55 or like a 60, like not too high, not too low for this one. But I will tell you why this movie is way less critically acclaimed than the last movie. Or at least this is why I think that the critics' rating is basically half of the first movie. The first movie had the benefit of setting up the world of Five Nights at Freddy's for the normies. For people who don't know what Five Nights at Freddy's is, the first movie was the setup of the world. There was a lot of teaching people what the world was about, what William Afton did, why the animatronics were possessed. And the first movie was still made for the fans. There was a lot of things that only the fans would notice, but the second movie is even more so made for the fans. While the first movie was an intro to the world, the second movie is literally knee-deep in the world. There is absolutely references and storylines and characters that no one in the normie world would understand if they didn't play the games or watch some theory videos. There's Easter eggs that are more blatant this time. They're not just little Easter eggs that are in the background of the first movie. These are blatant gameplay of FNAF 2. Why is this happening? A normie is thinking. Why is this mask making the animatronics think that he's an animatronic? Why didn't it work on Foxy? And there's another thing that I've been thinking about is that the critics probably saw this movie in a theater with other critics or just by themselves. They got a screener for it or something, and they didn't get that audience reaction. They didn't get to see it with fans. Maybe they did. Maybe these people were at the world premiere and still didn't like it, and they're still valid. But I really think that critic score is lower than the first because the first movie was setting up the world and the second movie is knee deep, and these critics are completely lost at this point. And us as fans, the Rotten Tomatoes is 88 or 89 right now for the fans, and that's because we understood it. Like, we knew the Easter eggs. We were freaking out when we saw freaking Circus Baby on our screen. We were freaking out when we saw the gameplay of FNAF 2. We were freaking out at the questions that were being answered about the lore that we've had for a decade now, or at least that was my experience. If you hated the movie, your opinion is valid as well, but I had a ton of fun with this movie. I knew from the first movie that these movies are camp. They are weird, and they are weird on purpose, and they embrace that weirdness in the best ways possible, in my opinion. Yes, the movie is not perfect. Yes, the script is not perfect. Yes, there are some moments that could have probably been touched up a little bit in the script. Yes, there were some plot holes that probably could have been patched up in the script, but I think another thing about this movie that it maybe suffered from, or maybe just was a victim of, is second movie in a trilogy syndrome. This movie ended with some cliffhangers, like the movie ends and you can't believe the credits just rolled. They are really banking on this third movie being made, and I really hope it does get made. Now, to get in a little deeper with the movie, my favorite scene in the entire movie was the opening. I think the opening was the literal perfect opening. I wanted that to be the opening of the first movie, Afton luring the kids back and us seeing what happens with that, because The beauty of FNAF is the horror is implied in this franchise. A lot of the lore and the scariest moments of this franchise are seen off screen. When we play the games, we are almost seeing the aftermath of what William Afton did. And to actually see William Afton doing it in person in such a beautiful and perfect way, it was scary, it was tense, it was disturbing. When I saw the stab wounds on Charlie's back for the first time, I was like actually floored. I was like, are they allowed to do that in a PG-13 movie? I don't know if that's Weenie Hut Juniors for everyone else. It's like, John, of course they're allowed to do that. That's not crossing any line. To me, I was like, wow, like that's a kid. But I think they portrayed that in literally the best way they possibly could have. And Charlie falling through the door and the puppet lifting her up, I thought it was beautiful. And I thought it was almost like an improvement of the way we see Charlie die in the games. It was another way of doing Charlie's death in the movie, but the same things happen, if you know what I mean. William does kill her and she does die right next to the puppet, but it's in the restaurant and the puppet comes up from the stage rather than the puppet crawling out and laying next to her in the rain. Charlie is screaming for help, but no one's helping her in the games from the outside window. This time she's doing it from the inside and no one's helping her. It was such a cool alternative way to show that scene being done. And I think that scene is like the whole premise of Five Nights at Freddy's in a nice 5-minute clip. That is showing the true horror of William Afton, setting it up right at the beginning of the movie, showing exactly why Charlie is so angry at all the adults throughout the whole movie. I thought Skeet Ulrich did an amazing job as Henry. I would have loved to see him more. It was very obvious they're setting him up for more in the third movie. I know in the third movie we're gonna get the showdown between Henry and William. We're gonna get all the flashbacks and the lore reveals and stuff like that. I really think that's what they're setting up with the third movie, but Henry wasn't really in the marketing too much, so it kind of makes sense he wasn't in the movie too much. I would have loved to see him more, but I'm excited to see him in the third movie. I thought Freddie Carter as Michael Afton was amazing. Freddie Carter, he has a mad eyebrow, bro, and he has a great villain face and a great villain vibe. I don't know. I also didn't mind the reveal that he's Michael Afton. I thought it was pretty obvious from the moment that he showed up on screen. It's like, that guy is evil. His name is Michael. He's wearing a purple polo. He's wearing a security badge. That's Michael Afton. And I don't mind him carrying on his father's legacy. I don't mind him being evil. At the end of the day, he is like a victim of his father, but if he really did like carry on his legacy and he's been killing kids, he seems a little irredeemable at that point, just as much as his dad, but we'll have to see what happens in the third movie. But as far as the overall lore reveals in this movie, I was super satisfied 2 weeks ago, and now that I've seen it 3 times, I am still super satisfied with the answers, but what I'm trying to figure out is if I'm satisfied with the answers themselves or I'm satisfied that we got answers. So I'm currently working on a lore video with this movie, talking about all of the big lore reveals that we got in this movie, and I'm trying to really figure out what this movie was trying to tell us about the games. And you might be yelling at your screen right now, John, this movie isn't answering anything in the games, it's a separate continuity. And to that I say, you might be right, but I'm gonna try, and I think it'll be interesting to see how this movie lines up to the games and see if it actually helps answer anything from the games. But yeah, I enjoyed it even more watching it the third time with an audience last night on opening preview night, and it was just a great time. So I totally understand if you didn't vibe with the movie. I totally understand why the critics didn't vibe with the movie. 12% is crazy though, but whatever. Maybe for the next movie they can still make it for the fans, but find some balance between making it for the normies and for the fans. I mean, it's the third movie in a trilogy. Maybe it's a little too late for that. Might as well just fully make it for the fans again. But I really do think this movie is so much more improved from the original. I'm not just saying that. I'm being raw and honest with you. If you did see the movie, I hope you liked it. If you didn't like it, I hope you at least had fun watching it, because I know I did. I hope you had fun seeing the animatronics on screen and seeing the Easter eggs, and maybe the next movie will be more for you. I know they're gonna improve from the first and the second and really make the third movie the best they can make it. I enjoyed this movie as a fan who's been here from the very beginning. Definitely not a perfect movie. The first one was not a perfect movie. Definitely not for everyone, but me, myself, and I enjoyed it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.